What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, so we are continuing with 2021 schedule preview and predictions, and we're starting to get into some of the teams where you could really go one way or the other. And today we're going to talk about the Northwestern Wildcats, the Big Ten runner-ups from last year. Hey, if you guys enjoy the video, please leave a like. Also consider subscribing if you are new to the channel, because come the college football season, we're going to be uploading a lot of content. And hey, if you want to learn at least a little bit. I know I'm not the most accurate all the time, but hey, if you want to learn at least a little bit about some teams, then you want to be sure you stick around on the channel because we're uploading a lot, not to mention we're doing lists, everything like that. So please stick around. You can say what you want in the comment section. Just please be mindful of what you say. Keep it PG down there if you could. And with that, let's talk about Northwestern this upcoming year. So Northwestern, of course, last year, Big Ten runner-ups was a real surprise, right? Out of nowhere, right? Kind of came out of the blue. We knew this Northwestern team and Pat Fitzgerald, how good they can be. But last year caught my attention, definitely. And then even gave Ohio State a huge run for their money in the Big Ten championship game. But this year for Northwestern, they're losing quite a bit. And to be honest, I think they're losing their defensive coordinator as well. Absolutely could be wrong on that. But I'm pretty sure he's gone, so the defense is going to look a little different this year. Either way, just with the talent that they're losing as well. So let's take a look at that talent that they are losing. Former Indiana transfer Peyton Ramsey, of course, is gone. He was just going to be a one-year guy, and he is gone. Grad transfer last year. Now, full-on graduate will not be playing football in 2021. And then you lose in what my opinion were kind of your best two backs, although towards the end of the season, there were some other guys that emerged. But right out of the gate, it was Isaiah Bowser and Drake Anderson. And if you notice, they kind of started not to play later in the season, and that's because they were trending toward the transfer portal, which both of them went to. I believe one of them transferred to Miami of Ohio, and I can't remember where the other one transferred. But both of those guys, nonetheless, are gone. Kyrick McGowan, Ramad Chakial Bowman, and Riley Lees. Riley Lees not listed because I couldn't fit him. But all three of those guys at wide receiver are gone, and those are going to be huge losses for Northwestern as well. So not only will they have to break in the new quarterback this year, they're going to need to bring up some new talent at the wide receiver position. It's going to be an interesting season for Northwestern. Of course, offensive lineman Rashawn Slater has gone, a fantastic offensive lineman. And then you've got some guys on defense as well. Ernest Brown and then Andrew, goes by his nickname, Eku Leota, gone off the defensive line, along with, of course, Greg Newsom III, gone off of the defensive backing group. So lots of good players leaving this Northwestern club. You could put more players on that list that I just did not mention. Okay, because I couldn't fit them. It's hard for me to mention everyone. But hey, it's not about the talent you lost. It's about what you have, right? And, well, they dug into the transfer portal again for a quarterback. They're getting former South Carolina quarterback Ryan Hilinski. And I'm not really sure what to think on Ryan Hilinski. He could be a really good player, but he hasn't really proven a whole lot quite yet. So Ryan Hilinski, we'll see how he does at the quarterback position. Evan Hull should be that running back this year, unless there's another name that's come up somewhere. Evan Hull is the guy that kind of really took on the role late last year. So we'll see how much he can improve this year. He's still got some guys at wide receiver that I think maybe could step up. Stephon Robinson, Jordan Mosley, two guys there that you should probably watch out for. There are other names you could throw out for Northwestern as well. A couple of defensive linemen returning, along with some of the most underrated running backs in the Big Ten. You got Patty Fisher and Blake Gallagher. Those two guys are fantastic. They're always usually really good part of that defensive front seven. And still some great defensive backs. You have Brandon Joseph, who made an incredible interception in the end zone during that Big Ten championship game, and Cameron Mitchell back there as well. So while the defense might look a little bit different and they're losing some talent, especially in the front seven, well, they're losing talent kind of everywhere on the defense. But for the most part, their talent returning on this defense is pretty solid, along with, their defense might look a little different, but they still have some playmakers along with this offense that, again, they're going to need wide receivers to step up. How good can Ryan Hilinski play? We know Peyton Ramsey last year had maybe the best season of his career with Northwestern, at least in my opinion, in a shortened season with only Big Ten play. And with Ryan Hilinski, we'll have to wait and see on him, is my opinion. Here's the schedule for Northwestern. In 2020, they went 7-2. That's 6-2 in the Big Ten. They were Big Ten runner-ups, of course, to my favorite team, the Ohio State Buckeyes, also my hometown team. But they did go and end up winning the Citrus Bowl later to avenge that loss in the Big Ten championship game. Or I guess I shouldn't say avenge, I should say rebound. Lost in the regular season to Michigan State, and coincidentally, that's who they open up the season with. Hey, I'm talking about some games more than others. They're more interesting matchups to me. If the date gets highlighted in green, it's a win. If it gets highlighted in red, it's a loss. Now, a reminder, I do pick the record, and then based on prior videos, I fill those in first, and then I fill in what I think is most likely. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about Northwestern's schedule in 2021. And they open up with Michigan State, of course, the only team they lost to in the regular season last year. And it was a huge upset loss. It really derailed Northwestern from a playoff perspective. I believe Northwestern was number 8 in the nation at that time. It was a huge win for the Michigan State Spartans. And if you'll know, I'm not high on the Michigan State Spartans. Now, I did just realize that they did dive into the transfer portal to pick up a quarterback. I am not quite sure of the quarterback. I know who it is, but my brain is not working right now. But they dug into the transfer portal for the quarterback. How good is he going to be? The quarterback play was the thing that was really struggling against Michigan State, and the turnovers. Michigan State's going to have to clean up turnovers this year. But Mel Tucker really hasn't proven himself anywhere. Didn't prove himself at Colorado. Surely hasn't proven himself here yet. Maybe give him a couple more years. I'm just not high on Michigan State. I know a lot of people say, well, the Spartans can make a bowl game. The Spartans are going to be an underrated team, and I just don't see it. I don't think the Spartans are going to be that great this year. I do have Northwestern winning that game. Then a home game against Indiana State. The Sycamores, this should be an easy win for Northwestern. Again, an FCS team. Northwestern should win. And then a Saturday game against the Duke Blue Devils. Reading stuff before I sat down and recorded this video. Some people had Duke beating Northwestern. Not quite sure why. Duke might be the worst team in the ACC. Now, we all know Northwestern is going to take a major step back. I mean, a major step back from where they were last year. A Big Ten championship seems unlikely again for this Northwestern team. But hey, that's what you're here to find out, right? If you think that they can get there. But for Duke, just not a lot to like at this Duke Blue Devils program. Now, I know it's a road game, and maybe Duke can keep it close, but I'm not high on Duke either. I don't see Duke doing anything super special this year. I had Northwestern beating Duke. Then a home game against the Ohio Bobcats. Ohio is always an interesting team because Ohio is always a team that you always know are there. And they can compete in the Mid-American. They usually schedule 1 or 2 Big Ten teams every year. That's also how the MAC operates. But for Ohio, I think this is going to be a solid team. And I think Ohio maybe like Duke could keep it close for a quarter or two. But in the end, I do see Northwestern being able to pull this one away. Before Northwestern gets into strictly Big Ten play after opening up with a Big Ten opponent, they get to go on the road to play Nebraska. This is the best team that Scott Frost has had at Nebraska, and I think that rings true. I think for Nebraska, this is probably their best shot to make a bowl game. I mean, they really dived into the transfer portal after losing some guys to the transfer portal. Hey, Luke McCaffrey is gone. Wandale Robinson's gone. Dedrick Mills didn't leave through the transfer portal, but still gone. They dove in to the transfer portal. They picked up a running back from USC. They picked up a wide receiver from Montana who's really good. You'll find out more about him next week when I do Nebraska. But Nebraska, Nebraska always seems to struggle with Northwestern. And I don't know what it is. And that's one of the things about college football where people will say, well, it doesn't matter if the team has had a number or whatever. It's, it doesn't matter if a team has had another team's number. Teams change every year. Well, this is a game that Nebraska always struggles with. So I feel like this one is going to be close, especially with Northwestern being undefeated at this point. Heck, Northwestern might even be ranked by this point. But I think the Cornhuskers get him. I think Nebraska gives Northwestern their first loss of the season. I think it's just going. It's just a whole combination of, I think Nebraska's going to improve overall. I think Adrian Martinez, if he stays healthy, could have the best season of his career. I think these transfers for Nebraska are going to play really well, especially on the defensive side. I think Nebraska improves a lot as they return a lot. I know there are some players that have gone down to injury at Nebraska, specifically JoJo Doman, I do believe. Oh, no, it was Will Honus, I believe. But Nebraska, I think, is going to give Northwestern their first loss on the year. And then they get their bye game, or not bye game, bye week. Sorry, before they get to play Rutgers. And Rutgers is not a team that you should take lightly this year. Rutgers is a team that's going to fight this year. And Rutgers is going to play hard. They're going to play every single snap. They're going to give it their best shot with Greg Schiano back at the helm. And I think Rutgers can make a bowl game this year. They absolutely have, Rutgers is an interesting team. I'm going to go ahead and flash green up on the screen here because I think Northwestern is going to win the game. But Rutgers is a team that you got to watch out for this year. And I don't care if we're talking about Northwestern fans or Ohio State fans. Rutgers is going to play you hard. Now, when talking about Ohio State, I don't think Rutgers is going to do anything crazy like upset Ohio State or Wisconsin or Iowa or Michigan or whoever happens to be on their schedule. I don't know if they're going to be able to do something like that, but they definitely can keep some of those games close. I think this is one of the games that they can keep close, but I do have Northwestern pulling away at the end. And then a road game against the Michigan Wolverines. You'll know from prior video that I do have Michigan winning the game. Northwestern, I feel like is just going to be down again, and I feel like Michigan is trending up, but not necessarily trending up, if that makes sense. I think Michigan's going to be a better team than they were last year, but you'll know I have Michigan going 7-5. I just don't feel confident in the Wolverines this year. You can call me biased because of the stuff that you see behind me. Cool, don't care. Michigan is a team that is going to, I think, play their heart out this year. And I really do. I think Michigan's going to play their heart out. I just can't see Northwestern winning this one. On the road in the Big House, really tough place to play. I think Michigan gets the win. And then they get to play Minnesota. Minnesota is one of the most underrated teams coming into this year. Hey, their defense was really bad last year. Great. Their defense was also really young. It's kind of the same story with a program like LSU, who I'm not really high on, but I'm high on Minnesota just because of what they have coming back on offense. Hey, Tanner Morgan, really good quarterback. We know what he can do. You don't have Rashad Bateman this year, but there's still some other guys. I believe Chris Ottman-Bell coming back. That's going to be a huge win for Minnesota. And Mo Ibrahim, one of the best running backs in the nation, he is also coming back. I think this is a loss for Northwestern. I think this is a recipe for what's going to be considered an upset at this time. Maybe not quite like a huge upset, but just like, oh, wow, Minnesota won that game. Huh, interesting. I think Minnesota is going to beat Northwestern in 2021. I think the defense is going to improve for Minnesota, and I think the offense is going to be able to run all over Northwestern's what should be a new look defense for the Wildcats. And then a home game against Iowa. And this is one I went back and forth on even in my Iowa video. You already know what happens in that video if you've watched my Iowa video. I think Iowa can be a solid team this year. I'm just unsure of where to put them. They're losing Mekhi Sargent at running back, but returning Tyler Goodson. Originally, I'd called Sargent better than Goodson. Yeah, when that happened, I was looking at Goodson and then was talking about Sargent. I'm not going to make excuses. But Tyler Goodson coming back could be one of the best running backs in the nation. I've never been super high on Tyler Goodson, but as I'm watching more and more tape and reading more and more, Tyler Goodson just looks like possibly one of the best backs in the nation. You're going to have to find out my thoughts on Saturday. But for Iowa, I have a feeling this is the game that they drop. Now, I just have a feeling this is the game that they drop, with it being a home game for Northwestern. Northwestern's coming off 2 straight losses. I've talked about it before. If a team is going to struggle, they're going to struggle on the offensive and defensive lines. And even with Rashawn Slater gone, Northwestern still has a really good offensive line. And hey, Northwestern is still going to have a pretty solid defensive line, even with those losses. I think they're going to be able to get to Spencer Petras. I think they're going to be able to stop the run game. And that won't open up much for the pass either. So I had Northwestern winning that game. And then a road game against Wisconsin Badgers. I'm going to flash right up on the screen now. I'm going to roll through these last few games pretty quickly here. Wisconsin, hey, yeah, just a team this year that a lot of people seem to be high on. I'm fairly high on them. I don't have them going undefeated or anything like I've seen a lot of people do. I have them going 10-2, but I just feel like this is the game that Wisconsin's going to win. Wisconsin's the more talented team. I think they can run the football better than Northwestern this year, even with Evan Hull back there for Northwestern. And I think Wisconsin's defense could be one of the best, if not the best, in the Big Ten. I like Wisconsin to win the game. And then Northwestern gets two of what probably are the worst teams in the Big Ten. They get Purdue and Illinois, although Illinois could surprise some people. We're going to flash screen up on the screen for Purdue because I don't see Purdue doing a lot this year. They don't even know who their quarterback's going to be, whether that be Jack Plummer or Aiden O'Connell. I personally like Jack Plummer a little bit better, but Aiden O'Connell has seemed to be the prevailing starter in years past. And then Illinois. I'm going to flash green up on the screen, which means you know what their record is. But before I say that, I think Illinois can surprise some people. Brett Bielema's coming in at head coach, and you know they're going to play some smash mouth football there. We'll have to see how that works out for Illinois. They could surprise some people come season end. And with that, I have Northwestern going 8-4. You see the 4 games there highlighted in red. The ceiling for Northwestern, I think, is 10-2. I think that is the ceiling for Northwestern. When you look, Nebraska is a winnable game. Minnesota is a winnable game. As much as Iowa fans of mine, I think Iowa is a winnable game. But that floor is 6-6. Look, this defense is going to look really different next year. It might not look super different, but it might look pretty different. Additional losses I would tack on would be Iowa for sure, and then you could either throw Rutgers or Illinois in there as additional losses. But the floor for Northwestern I see is 6-6. As long as Pat Fitzgerald is there, Northwestern's going to make a bowl game. Now I know 2019 they went 3-9, but I think as long as Pat Fitzgerald is there, Northwestern has a real good shot to make a bowl game. That's going to do it. What did you guys think about Northwestern in 2021? You can leave your thoughts down below. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the Utah Utes, a very underrated team in the Pac-12. Are they a dark horse? You're going to find out tomorrow. Again, play hard, tailgate harder. Tomorrow's Utah. Goodbye.